Hello and welcome to the world of musical theater. My name is Filippa and I am the understudy, and this is the channel where we talk about everything musical theater related. This video is part of our larger series going through the history of the musical theater, and today we are discussing the Black Crook. So let's start. The Black Crook is often considered to be the first American musical theater production, but this is highly debated. The Black Crook premiered on Broadway in 1866 at Nimblow's Garden and ran for, at the time, record-breaking 474 performances. It toured a lot and had at least 8 revivals in a short amount of time. There was also a performance in the West End, although that version featured new music and a revised story. When we look at the creation of the grand spectacle of the Black Crook, we see that it came together as an accident. The producer duo Henry C. Jarrett and Henry Palmer, inspired by the grand European spectacles that they had seen in London and Paris, wanted to produce as grand of a production in the US. They brought dancers and theatrical sets from these European productions and mounted a lavish extravaganza at the New York Academy of Music. However, the theater that they were going to use burned down, and they got stuck with high investments and about 100 dancers with no place to perform. So, they approached Nimblow's Garden, a grand theater that was already booked for a melodrama by actor Charles M. Barras, because they wanted to do the show there instead. This melodrama, which was outrageously so, planned to be able to fill up 3,200 seats for 100 days, was titled Black Crook. Jarrett and Palmer bought the rights to the play and transformed it into a spectacular stage event, blending melodrama, music, dance, and visual effects into a massive 5.5-hour-long production. So they got to work. Jarrett went back to Europe for inspiration and brought in dancers, stage machinery, new set design, and costumes. The final production included grand set designs, special effects, and performers in revealing costumes, which both caused controversy and drew in massive crowds. They changed the script by adding all of these extra dances and music, and it became the first American stage production to earn over $1 million, and this is before inflation, meaning today that number would be at least tenfold. It became a commercial success, unseen on Broadway, but also some consider it an artistic flop. The story and plot of the Black Crook is set in the Harz Mountains of Germany in the 1600s, and it loosely follows a Faustian melodramatic plot of a romantic comedy. The central conflict involves the evil Count Wolfenstein, who schemes to marry the innocent village girl Amina, even though she is already promised to the heroic Rodolphe. With the help of the sinister sorcerer Herzog, or the Black Crook, Count Wolfenstein attempts to eliminate his rival. Herzog, having made a pact with the devil Samiel, needs a fresh soul every year to maintain his immorality, and he picks to get rid of Rodolphe. In this terrible fate, Rodolphe manages to find a treasure and save the life of a dove, which transforms into the fairy queen of the golden realm, also called Stalacta. Stalacta rewards his good deeds and leads him back to Amina, and the play ends with the forces of good triumphing over evil as Herzog is dragged into hell. The music for the show was a mix of original compositions and adapted pieces, primarily selected and arranged by Thomas Baker, with contributions by Giuseppe Operti and George Beckwell, and lyrics by Theodore Koenig. Though not connected to the plot of the story, the most famous songs come from the character Carline, and is called You Naughty Naughty Men. This also reflects the sporadic nature of the show and the music, having one of the more famous songs not be connected to the story really at all. The Black Crook is often cited as the first American musical because it combined a unified plot, popular songs, dance, and spectacle in a single production. This means that they identified it as the first popular theatrical piece that adheres to the modern idea of musical, as no shows back then were called musicals. Maybe because it has song and dance for the principal actors, and not just the divided ensemble or chorus as in older shows. However, this status is highly debated. Critics argue that its loosely connected songs and dances, borrowed rather than original music, and haphazardly assembled script make it more of an extravaganza than a true musical. They dispute the idea of it being a musical at all. Unlike the fully integrated works that would define the genre in the 20th century, the songs and dances in The Black Crook were often disconnected from the main plot, serving as a fun entertainment piece rather than a narrative importance. They say that it is only considered the first American musical because of its financial success. The songs were not written for the show, and neither was the choreography. Instead, when comparing elements in the Black Crook to those of opera, operetta, or burlesque, you will notice that they share a lot of the same basic elements. Some say that there are multiple other shows with original music, and not just patchwork of old and new, and that the Black Crook was just thrown together with a bit of opera, a bit of melodrama, and that it's not unified at all. Nevertheless, the production set the standard for large-scale theatrical spectacles, directly influencing later Broadway hits and shaping the expectations of American audiences. It also demonstrates the commercial potential of musicals, proving that controversy, spectacle, and a bit of scandal could drive ticket sales. It was only the Black Crook's long run that made it the first musical in the eyes of many. But it wasn't the only contender. For instance, The Seven Sisters from 1860 had a long run, but its score has been lost to history, making direct comparisons impossible. Other potential early musicals include The Naiad Queen, The Doctor of Alcantara, The White Fawn, The Bar Blue, and Evangeline. Meanwhile, The Black Domino, or Between You and Me and the Post, is considered the first show to explicitly call itself a musical comedy. These works shared many of the same characteristics as Black Crook, including spectacle, dance, and songs, though they may not have achieved the same commercial success or cultural impact. In conclusion, while it may not fit the modern definition of a musical, depending on what your definition is, The Black Crook undeniably left a lasting impact on American theater, paving the way for future innovations in musical storytelling. The production set the standard for large-scale theatrical spectacles, directly influencing later Broadway hits and shaping the expectations of American audiences. It also demonstrates the commercial potential of musicals, proving that controversy, spectacle, and a bit of scandal could drive ticket sales. Whether or not one says that The Black Crook or Evangeline or any other of the myriad of shows out there is the first musical, it doesn't really matter. The term musical wasn't used much back then, and it is just a label. All shows impacted the history of musical theater in their own unique way, and they all mattered. The labels, in this case, are just labels, and they don't change history. That said, thank you so much for watching. If you like these kind of videos, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel for more content. I'm making more of these videos as we speak, and there's probably a lot more out there circulating as well. Have a wonderful time, and I will see you in the next one.